Welcome to a Doctor's Perspective podcast, Acadiana Local Edition. Today, we have Ty Greneaux with Acadiana Garage Doors. I'm your host, Dr. Justin Trosclair, best-selling author on Amazon, podcast host, award winner, and chiropractor in Acadiana. Let's go hashtag behind the curtain in local businesses in Acadiana. Thank you so much for joining the show. If you caught last week's episode, you got an idea of where the show's been, where it's going now, and I couldn't be more excited. I've reached out to some people. They said yes. And today we'll have the first one with Ty. I fair warned him. I got some new questions to ask. It's different than my past interviews. So if we needed to edit or redo an answer, no problem. Let's make sure the flow is good and the answers are top quality for the Lafayette people. Before we jump in, I'd like to thank the sponsor, Scoliosis Center of Louisiana and Chiropractic. If you got a kid or an adult who's getting back pain, doesn't like the way they look, or just needs an evaluation, then head over to Scoliosis Center of Louisiana. They've got the training necessary to support the curve, the exercises to put you in a reverse image and see improvements. Reduce pain, get straighter, look better. If you have questions, 337-453-5199, or you can visit drjustintrosclair.com. That's a DR. Well, let's jump into the episode. Show notes can be found at adoctorsperspective.net/A01. Live from Acadiana, today on the podcast, we got a great guest. His name is Ty Greneaux. He's with Acadiana Garage Doors, and we're going to find out some things about him, his past, his marketing, and all that jazz. So, welcome to the show.
Good afternoon. Nice to be here, Justin. Appreciate you inviting me, man.
Absolutely. You are going to be one of the top five, or I guess should I say first five, that we interview, and we're going to release them all at the same time pretty much. And we're really looking forward to seeing what Acadiana has to offer, because I've been here. I grew up in Breaux Bridge for my entire life. I moved away. I came back, and it's a different landscape whenever you come back sometimes. Ambassador Cavern's getting bigger, and then some things actually stay the same.
Absolutely, man. I tell you, I did that myself. Moving out of town and coming back gives you a completely different perspective, and you nailed it. I mean, some things it takes me back to 10 years old. Now other things like, wow, we're doing better, thankfully. So the more we have people leave and come back, I think the better it is for Acadiana. A different perspective is important.
And I already had 2 different king cakes, so I think I feel like I'm done for the whole season already. I mean,
absolutely. Put your limit at 2, man. You'll be all right. 10 pounds max gain. You're fine. It. You'll be all right. You can lose it by next season.
Take some chromium, as my mom likes to say. She got on the vitamin wagon. She's like, just take some chromium if you eat too much, and get those sugars
some
down.
Charcoal too, man. Throw some charcoal on there. Absolutely. It removes the fat and unhealthiness.
That's hilarious. You said the charcoal.
it wraps the badness up, is what she said. I don't know. I love my mom to death, but it's interesting. Some of these naturalist ideas. I'm buying into. Yeah. I'm hoping.
Some of them are really good,
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, let's jump in. All right. Tell the people, what do you offer? And if you can really go back, what was the big why to start with this?
So I think I have an interesting story, a story that, I don't think I'm the typical entrepreneur. I didn't arrive on this at this stage in life, definitely not by accident, and definitely not the normal path. So I've got a different background. I've got a tech degree. I've got an MBA, partial law. I mean, there's a lot going on. Didn't know what I wanted to do when I got older. And I moved to Dallas. I graduated from UL Lafayette, one of the first UL Lafayette grads when it switched from USL to ULL. I got lucky enough to get a good job, Texas Instruments up there, and was living the life, traveling, rising the corporate ladder, doing really well for myself. But that was no life to live for a married man that wanted to have kids and wanted to build a family. So they afforded me the opportunity to go back to school and pay for it. Years later, my father-in-law, he was at the point where he was the original owner of Acadiana Garage Doors. He started it in 1986 or 88, I believe. And he was ready. He bought it as far as he could. He was ready to sell it. Never would have thought I'd have anything to do with garage doors. I mean, our beginnings were humble. My father-in-law me and him had a very intimidating relationship. If I said 1,000 words to him before we got married, I'd be surprised. We didn't really bond. So when I was in Dallas, I bought a home. It was a cheap home. It was 2,800 square feet, bought it for 144,000 brand new. If you can imagine, to make that happen, they had to cut some corners, right? And one of those corners they cut was they didn't put a garage door opener. It was just a garage door. So bright idea. Hey, got an opportunity. My father-in-law, we can bond. And said, hey, I'd like to give you some business. If you can bring up a garage door opener, like he needed the business and drive to Dallas, but I was trying, right? So he comes down. I help him do the install. I have a million questions. I'm trying to generate some connection there. And an hour and 45 minutes later, we were finished. And I said, man, Frank, his name's Frank Urban. I said, we did good, man, an hour and 45 minutes. And the funny response is, and I swear to this day, it's funny now. It wasn't funny then. He says, yeah, if you wouldn't have helped, I would have been done in a half hour. And that's where it all started.
Well, that's
right?
A father-son moment right there, too.
It is, right? And little did I know, fast forward a decade later, he would be one of my best friends, one of my mentors. Sadly enough, he passed away a few years ago and kind of changed my life, changed the direction I was headed. And now our goal is to just carry on the legacy he created, do all the things that I hope we're doing to make him proud.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking garage doors. Like, are we talking those custom ones that are like chiseled out and they have a fleur-de-lis on the top and they got windows, or?
So we have everything. I show around. We got the most beautiful stuff, the most expensive, as much as you want to spend, to the as little as you want to spend, the ugly stuff, and everything in between, right? So one of the cool things that my father-in-law Frank originally kind of saw before anybody else was he built a showroom. It was one of the first showrooms in the country for garage doors. Who would have thought? Well, years earlier, it wouldn't have made any difference. Who wants a showroom? It's all little square rectangle stuff, right? Well, his timing was perfect. The garage door industry started to grow, started to come out with new, inventive, cool things. And he kind of timed that market perfect. Me coming on board, buying, or getting into the business with my tech background and our systems in place. I'm not an overly religious person, but I do believe in God and I believe in his timing. And his timing was, you can't deny, it was meant to be.
Spot on.
And so now we do everything. I mean, we do from the decorative stuff to the plain stuff. We service, we install, we do residential, we do commercial. And this year, I'll announce, excited to announce, we are getting into the distribution side of things. So we're building a 20,000 square foot location. It's going to be a warehouse, office space, showroom space. It's going to be located behind Walmart on Ambassador, and we'll have easy access to I-10, I-49, and we're going to distribute all the way from Florida to Texas. And that kind of, I don't want to say fell into our lap, but with COVID timing and the way our manufacturers are changing their business model and distribution model, it's working out well. So I'm excited. This is a big year change.
Wait, are y'all going to be creating your own designs, and are you like partner up with another company and you kind of handle all that?
So we're partnered up with our manufacturer. The manufacturer is Amor. We have an exclusivity agreement to where right now, within a 50 square mile radius, you can't buy Amor product unless you buy from us. Well, their business model is they have 80 distribution centers all around the country. During COVID, they had to continue paying that operation when they weren't really productive. They had to have people stay home. So they're now going to a mega distribution model where the distribution centers will be in major cities. And then all the dead areas, they're going to rely on their dealer network. And we are going to be one of those key areas. We're centrally located. So yeah, we're partnering with the manufacturer, sell their product. And what that brings about is cheaper pricing for us. It brings about new opportunity for different types of market share and other manufacturers to come on board as well. So we're excited.
That's awesome. I had treated a patient one time in Colorado, and this is what he did. He did only custom garage doors at all. And I was like, man, he's like, 15, 20 grand. He's like, I do celebrity things. And, I never actually purchased a garage door in my life. Still haven't. It's just sort of part of the package. I've never had to replace one. So I was just like blown away. I was like, wow, they'll spend that much money on a door? And he's like, we can go even crazier. And I was kind of blown away.
You'd be surprised, from wood to iron. I mean, some of this stuff is incredible.
It's the front of your house for most people.
It is. I mean, look, it's 20 to 30 feet of the front of the house. People spend all this money on the front swing door when that's what, 3 feet?
That nobody sees?
So I don't push, hey, you got to buy something expensive. but you dang well better buy something that goes with the house that you like, that fits it well, right? So it's not about spending money. It's about making the right selection.
Absolutely.
And that's why we have our showroom and we train the people the way we do. The hope is when people come in, they're not coming in for us to sell them. They're coming in for us to educate them. And if they choose us, we're blessed for that choosing. If they go somewhere else, hey, we gave it our best shot, but at least we gave them pros and cons and try and give them ideas on how to make selections and what the right move is. It's not always like you'll have people with new construction, an architect sees it one way on these sizes and such, yet we can make some small changes that will make a big difference. For example, if you have a 3-car garage, a lot of times they'll make that 3rd car garage a little 6 foot wide for a golf cart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just make it 8 foot wide, and that's considered a 3rd car garage when you go to sell it. I mean, and the cost is the same. The cost of that door, whether it's 6 foot wide or 8 foot wide, is the same price. But when you go to sell it, you just added huge value. So we're always preaching, if you can, as soon as you get your plans in place, come into the showroom, not to buy, but so we can make changes that could, have huge dividends for you in the end when you go to sell.
And let's dive in just a little bit more on that, because that's one of the questions I wanted to ask you. When it comes to marketing to customers or making relationships with manufacturers, or even trying to increase the sales in your own place, like you said, it's about educating, but is there any tips or tricks or things that you've learned along the way that's really helped, push the envelope? Because like I said, if you're not into a huge custom door, that's great. We've got 20 normal vanilla ones, but we still want to make it match your outside. Show me pictures. Like, any hints or tricks for that stuff?
Dude, I've got so many things to say on this subject. I'll try and keep it simple. I've got an MBA, right? So all the
oh
book
gosh, yeah.
charts, you don't know anything until you're in real life and you're doing this. You don't know anything. So we started off advertising. We never advertised before. You don't know what to pick. You talk to 7 different meetings, whether it's radio, television, Fox 15, ABC, whatever. They'll all tell you why they're the best. So if I had unlimited funds, I'd just put it everywhere, right? But at some point, you're just kind of throwing stuff on the wall and see what sticks. Realistically, in my opinion, more than advertising, more than anything else, relationships is key. And that's not overnight. You have to build that over time, whether it be with our builders, with our customers. The key is doing it the right way, using a quality product, and doing it with consistency for a long period of time. That gives you that loyalty, gives you that reputation. Now, from an advertising standpoint, what I do that just, is kind of surprising is we do a lot of radio. I think all the mediums work. But one of the things that set us apart that really changed my business, name's Jimmy Cole. He used to work for Town Square Media. He came in like November, December, just kind of walked in one day and said, "Hey, Ty, I'd like to pitch some advertising to you." I was like, "Man, we're out of advertising budget here. We're at the end of the year." He's like, "Do you have any co-op dollars?" I was like, "Yeah, I got co-op dollars, but I spent them." He said, you have LiftMaster co-op dollars, which is our manufacturer of motors. So they don't do it. He goes, "Yeah, they do. You need a call." With him in my office, I called him and he said, "Hey, you have 30 grand to spend, but you got to spend it by the end of the month."
Oh, hello. I can do that.
So he's sitting there with a big smile on his face, right? He's like, "Yeah, I'll do it." It was absolute luck or God's timing, however you want to say it. Jimmy changed our business. Radio advertising, you don't think of, you hear it all the time, right? I listen to a lot of radio, but I tune out on the advertising side of things. It's just you hear a ton of this, ton of that. You just learn to tune it out. What Jimmy did differently, I said, "Jimmy, I don't want to be on the radio. I'd prefer not to be the guy, hey, today only, $3.99 for 16 bucks. Just cheese, right?"
Yep.
He goes, "Well, listen, I'm going to put a microphone here and I'm going to learn about your business." And we just had a conversation, and he cut together a commercial that was like, started with, "Hey, here's a tip from Acadiana Garage Doors." And he gives you a tip, and then it cuts to me, and he cut the commercial of us having a conversation. Well, as much as I didn't want to be on the commercials, one of the things that it did was, and I fully believe in it now, customers, people want to hear from the owner. They want to hear from the person responsible for that business, somebody here local, and they don't want to be sold. They want to be educated, and they want to be informed about what it is that you do. And we do both. We educate and we tell you a little bit about us. Not about, hey, we have a sale this month. It's not sales driven. It's none of that. We have the long-term picture in mind. That long-term goal is, look, you don't need a garage door today, but one day you will. And when you do need that, I hope you think back to us and all the tips that we gave you and all the, we
tips
are
huge.
We are good people. Absolutely.
we look at that as chiropractic. We're always like, okay, what can we give you for your low back, for your neck, just enough so that you can call us. And like every business has something that they need tips and tricks that you didn't even think about to create the longevity of the motor, etc.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where you have to be sincere in that. And I think that's the biggest challenge, right? Is coming across sincere and not let me just tell you why I want to get you here and sell. And I think that genuineness comes in if you are genuine. I mean, that's what we are, man. Like, look, we do garage doors, and I don't want to sound cheesy. It's garage doors. Is there anything sexy, exciting, fun about it? No, it's garage doors. But if we're going to do it, we want to do it to the best of our abilities. We want to be a good partner here in the community. And our motto is the golden rule. And, you know, people laugh at that sometimes, kind of the old cheesy saying, but it's true. Treat others the way you'd like to be treated. I'm not chasing after. If somebody calls in and we messed up, and it happens, we're not perfect. If you're coming for a place that's perfect, you came to the wrong place. But we're always going to make it right. Even if we're not wrong, even if I think the customer is wrong, for long term, we're always going to make the call in a positive way for the customer. For you to leave us and not have, might not have been the best experience, it might not have been perfect, we might have made mistakes, but for you to leave us and say, man, they tried to take advantage of me. You just didn't give us an opportunity. I will give you the money back, and you could keep the door. It's all about making sure that customer feels taken care of, felt like we care. And look, we're all consumers. I need to make sure I create an environment that's super comfortable for them and super trusting. And that's really what sales is, right? Build trust between you and the customer.
And you already answered one of the questions I was going to have. How do you deal with customer complaints? And I mean, as a consumer, we're already there. If something happens, we just want to be like, can you just take responsibility? Or was it my fault? Was it your fault? Did we not communicate? And sometimes you just, especially if you're spending a decent amount of money, like, can you just come make it right? Not 6 months from now, not 3 months from now and keep kicking the can. But, in a service industry, that's kind of the reputation that a lot of people have. They're like, they'll never come back and fix it. And when you find somebody that does, all of a sudden you're like, dude, do it. Even though they messed up, you'll still get a referral from them.
Absolutely. Do what you say you're going to do. One of the things that keep me up at night is a customer that has a bad experience with us and doesn't say anything. They just, I'm never using those guys again. I mean, look, we make mistakes. We'll go out there and we do something that we shouldn't have charged for. And the notes are weird. So our billing department bills and they get a $120 bill. We were out there for 2 minutes and did nothing. It's an accident. It wasn't on purpose. Man,
please let me know.
I'm gonna pay that. I'm gonna pay that bill. Here's $120, Acadiana Garage Doors. I'm never calling them again. No, dude, call me. Look, we make a mistake, and even if it isn't our mistake, let me make your day.
$120 is not worth the bad reputation, the bad Google review, and all the bad mouthing that you're gonna get.
Absolutely. Look, we're a small town, man. Word of mouth works both ways. You do a great job, you do the right thing. Man, it's easy. I don't have to advertise. You do the wrong thing,
poop.
I don't think you can pay enough in advertising to overcome that.
No,
not in a community like this.
Yeah, I mean, I know a guy that we went to school with, and people were like, don't use that guy.
Yeah.
Okay. All right then.
And it's when somebody makes their mind up, it's surprising how quickly that spreads, especially with somebody that's respected. That's why it's like, man, every opportunity we have to deal with a customer, even though they might not buy from us, even though they might not be in the market. Look, I got people that call like once a year. It seems like they're just lonely just to talk. I'm like, are you ever going to buy a garage? I don't know, but we take every opportunity when we touch a customer to take their needs and concerns seriously, never to take advantage of ignorance, and to try and educate them so that whatever decision they make, last thing I want to do is sell them something. Look, you can come in. I think I'm a good salesperson. You can come in. I can talk you to sell, buying the most expensive thing I have. Well, man, what did I gain by you buying something, regretting it later? And man, he told me one thing, and that's not the way it was. Yeah. No, man, do the right thing. Make less money up front if it's not the right thing for them to buy. But in the long run, if they're ever going to buy a door again, or they're going to tell somebody about us, that's the long game, man, not the short game. You don't chase after money at the disadvantage of long time. I mean, that's proven. Yeah. We've been in business 35 years now. And that's the only way to do it. That's the only way you survive. And I can tell you this, not everybody, like we're in a blessed position of being in a long time. And I don't want to say we're a cash cow, but we're to the point where I don't need to chase every dollar. So I have the advantages of saying, hey, you know what? You're unhappy with the door you chose. And you're really just, man, I can make your day by just going to change it out and take the hit. I'm going to do that. Well, if you're a new company and you're short on funds, cash flow's low, man, at $120, I was out there. I need to get some income. So we're blessed to be in a position where we're able to make that decision where not everybody is, and that's one of the advantages of being in business this long.
Well, let me ask you this question because when I was interviewing all the other doctors in the first half of my podcast, the one that got the most attention was family life balance, taking vacations, because you're still not small, but you know what I mean? You're an entrepreneur. And so that already is kind of hard to take vacation. I guess you're in a unique position where I'm sure you're not the one that's always turning wrenches and screws and all of that. But when you're still the boss, you still have responsibilities and it's hard to get away. So all that to preface, how do you create this work-life balance that people talk about and try to maximize, being with your family and stuff?
It feels impossible, especially if you're a control freak, right? I'm still learning that. I've gotten way better. The thing that I used to say, and boy, this was probably the first 12 to 13 years of being in business, I never went on vacation. I went places, but I was never on vacation. My mind's always back here, right? Yep. Absolutely. I've got a little notification on my phone. It's 4:00 Friday afternoon. I see the last car got here and somebody set the alarm. Okay. I can breathe. Let's enjoy this weekend. But like going away for 7 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I just couldn't relinquish control. And I think that's what most entrepreneurs struggle with is nobody could do it as good as I can. You know what? That may be true, but it
probably do good enough.
You way good enough. It doesn't have to be a 10. I'm good with a 9, especially if that 9 allows me to do things that allow me to stay in balance, right? So I'll tell you, during COVID, we made some key hires, invested in some key people. And when I say key hires and people, I mean in our office, to where, man, I always thought if I'm not the one in front of the customer, I'm worth this. I have to be the one doing it. Otherwise, nobody's going to buy from us. Guess what? Either I was super fooled and had an ego that needed to be tamed and humbled, or, I'm just a control freak, and probably a little bit of both at the time. The folks that I hired, neither one of them ever had any sales experience. We learned together. We trained together, trained them to guess what? They're, as much as I like to think it couldn't be done, nobody could do it as good as I can. Not only can they do it as good, they do it better. And learning to trust in the people, as long as you have the right people in place, that gives me that balance to, man, I can go on vacation and not have to worry about it. I know if I get a phone call, it's only because it's an absolute must. Anything else can be taken care of. So it's all about your people and having trust in those people and pulling the control back. That takes a lot.
It tames the ego to know, especially when you said somebody does more. Wait a minute. You had the best sales more than I've ever had. This is ridiculous. I was supposed to be the guy.
Time and time again. And let me tell you, it went from, hey, wait a second, that kind of hurts my feelings too. Go. I'm cheering them on. I love it. Look, this is a perfect example. This past week, we have a certain minimum that we got to meet in terms of buys from a particular manufacturer. It's a big minimum. And I was like, I need to take some personal time off to work on myself. So last week I took 4 days off. And man, in the back of my head, I'm like, will they meet that minimum? Will they meet that minimum? Not only did they meet it, they 3X'd the minimum. Made it the record that we've ever had was with me not being in the office. I wasn't sitting here ego hurt. I was like, thank you, Jesus. I mean, these girls are amazing. Yeah. My warehouse manager, I say girls, it's all girls and me and a guy. They didn't skip a beat. It was better than if I was there. They were like, you were hovering over us, right? They were like, and the truth is, and they said this, they were like, we know you needed some time. We know you needed some space. We want to make you proud. We're part of a team. And look,
that's a culture right there. Man.
It is culture. That's exactly where I was going. We all nobody's there to outshine anybody. I keep saying, I say this all the time, but there's certain things that I bank on, and this was one of them, is we spend more time together in the office and as a business than I do with my own family. If we're going to do that, we damn sure better enjoy it. And I won't accept any other way. This needs to be a place of peace, a place of encouragement, a place of team. And that starts at the top. And I can say all these things all day long, but if I don't believe them, I'm not going to show action. And if I don't show action, they're not following. We have that culture and incredibly blessed to have it now.
Yeah, these people see you super stressed out. That's really whenever I think some of our true hidden personality comes out, whenever we're really stressed out and we got to sell or whatever. We gotta hit a quota of doors, and if we don't hit it, we'll be stuck with them regardless.
And to know that, they could see the struggle, and it's not about, man, if I do real well, Ty's going to see how well I do. No, it's, hey, Ty needs a break.
Yeah.
We got to step up here. Because guess what? When they need the break, I'm stepping up, right? We're all in it together.
Absolutely. The last question might be fun. If you don't have an answer, that's okay too. We'll just cut this part out. Any favorite books or podcasts that you recommend, gift to other people, or think you should read?
I am a huge podcast listener. I do read. I don't read fiction. I read all nonfiction. Really, from a podcast standpoint, Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David is one of the best in my opinion on the business side of things. For the fun side and serious side, Joe Rogan, absolutely following. Jordan Peterson's a good one. David Goggins for motivation. I don't know if you know who David Goggins is, but absolute incredible person to listen to and get inspired by. From a book standpoint, right now, particular one I'm doing, not that it's business related, but is The Love Dare, to try and help with my relationship with my spouse, how to become a better dad. That's really right now where my focus is on my family and not on the business side of things. So my commitment this year is to read one book a week, no matter how small or how big it is. And right now I'm ahead of the game, so I'm doing well.
Mr. Ty, I really appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate you inviting me, man. This was a pleasure. If you need anything, holler. I'd be glad to help any way we can.
That's it. That was the first episode. Thank you, Ty, for coming on. Thank you for sharing about work culture and getting out of your own way and how sometimes we just fall into businesses that we won't even realize. I wish you luck with your 20,000 square foot new building and much success being the best husband and dad that you can be. Once again, the show is sponsored by Scoliosis Center of Louisiana and Chiropractic. If you'd like to be a sponsor and you're in the Acadiana area, reach out. We'll take care of that for you. You will have a dedicated section on the homepage on adoctorsperspective.net, and you'll be mentioned on the show. Subscribe on your podcast listening app so you don't ever miss another episode. And if you like what you're hearing so far, leave us a 5-star review so that way more people in this area can discover businesses that can directly impact you. Y'all have a good one.